Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip from The Herd talking about Bill Belichick not getting a head coaching job so far, and definitely not getting it with Atlanta. So I definitely have some pretty strong feelings about this that I think are really interesting, but I kind of want to see what Colin has to say first, and then we can kind of go from there.
The Falcons did not hire officially Bill Belichick. They hired somebody who had previously worked with the organization, Raheem Morris. Now, whether you like the move or not, there are reports that it was about power and control for Bill. But a bigger question is, what vibe does Bill Belichick give off? Do you think he walked into that meeting with a deep passion about the future of an NFC also-ran? Do you think he was collaborative? All right, we'll work together. Bill Belichick's vibe is, there are things I like to do, and they've been successful in the past. As far as a collaborative open door policy, Bill's door is like your teenage son's. It's closed more than you'd prefer. Sean McVay called on Raheem Morris's behalf. Kyle Shanahan called on his behalf. Bill couldn't get along with Tom Brady, who kind of gets along with everybody, including his rivals, Peyton Manning. He couldn't get along with Mac Jones. In the end, he couldn't get along with the owner, Robert Kraft, who's really a non-meddler. One time he had the audacity to go, we're not going to trade the best quarterback of all time. Let's move Garoppolo. I don't know. I think the owner was right on that one. What does Bill Belichick project? He's hostile with the media, grumpy with Mac Jones, allergic to offense. And who called on his behalf? Again, Raheem Morris worked with Atlanta, probably walked in. Gratitude for the opportunity to interview with the job. Collaborative, let's work together. A real plan, young star coaches, offensive guys calling on his behalf. But it really probably came down to this. The vibe that the two gave off. Raheem Morris, here's what we'll do together. Bill Belichick, here's what I've done. Let me say that slowly. Here's what we'll do versus here's what I've done. Windshield versus rear view mirror. Really an easy choice. Look around at who's getting hired in the NFL. Raheem Morris, Dave Canales in Carolina, Antonio Pierce, Jim Harbaugh, passionate, enthusiastic, youthful. Colin, Harbaugh's not youthful. Oh, no. What vibe does Jim Harbaugh project? Youth. So does Pete Carroll. That's not what Bill projects. It is brittle, tone deaf to offense, rigid, rich, only like to do things a certain way. During the interview, did Bill say to Arthur Blank, hey, want to meet Matt Patricia? He's out in the car in the parking lot. Nah, that's okay. This came down to, I would presume, a message and a vibe that was, here's what we'll do together versus here's what I've done. And that makes it a really easy choice.
So I think this is interesting because to me, the biggest Um, the biggest thing that we can point to why you would not want Bill Belichick, because listen, we obviously know what Bill has done in the past, obviously, right? And he had this lore as being just the greatest coach ever. Now, slowly that started to break down a little bit, especially after Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, but it still wasn't anything crazy because it's not like Tom ripped off another like 4 Super Bowls, mainly because he was just so old, right? He just didn't have the time. But there is good reason to believe that if Tom left earlier, he would have, or just could play until he was 55, right? He would be able to win and get Super Bowls. But I don't think that completely shattered this like illusion of Bill Belichick being a great coach, right? What then really crushed him is that he then had years without Tom Brady and really effectively did nothing and showed no ability to figure out how to either develop the existing quarterback that they had with whether it was Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones, or go out and get a new one, right? And make moves within that realm. And so it was just a disaster and ugly and awful and just a terrible product. I mean, it was a disaster. Seriously, a disaster. Nick Sirianni had a better locker room and better coaching presence than Bill Belichick. I mean, think about that for a second. And a lot of people in Philly wanted Sirianni's head, but but like the players stepped up and said, "We want Sirianni. We still believe in Sirianni." I mean, like, who was really saying that about Bill Belichick? And there's such this fear of Bill. There's a great video, little clip of, I believe it was Bailey Zappi. He like jumps in the arms of like O'Brien after he like wins the game, and there's like joy and smiles and all of this. And then he sees, Bill walk into the room, whatever, and he like immediately gets all like quiet and reserved and shuts down. And I've played for coaches like that, and it sucks. It sucks. They ruin everything. They really do. They ruin everything. I've had plenty of coaches like that, and especially growing up when I was a little kid, and to me it's child abuse, honest. I mean, seriously, it really is. It's just like when you have coaches like that, even when you're freaking 10 years old, it doesn't build character. It doesn't make you better athlete. It does none of those things. Can you win? Obviously, right? Obviously. But there are other ways to do things. And Bill Belichick has proven, especially in the modern era, that one, players don't want to play for that anymore. They don't want that environment. They've evolved from that. Tom Brady doesn't want that. And in fact, we know that Tom Brady still would have won Super Bowls without that dark, cold, frigid environment in New England. Tom Brady has already proven that. There's not only one way to do something. And just because that one way was done doesn't mean that is the best way or the only way. We see this all the time with athletes, especially with bodybuilding and powerlifting, because bodybuilding and powerlifting, there's many different ways to train. You have like high volume, high intensity, low intensity, high frequency. It's not just one size fits all. And the truth is that a lot of times they attribute their success to their program. But we know that that's not really true, that what works for one person doesn't work for everyone. In a lot of cases, these athletes, these bodybuilders and powerlifters and world's strongest men and stuff like that, they would succeed despite what their training program was, whether it was high volume or low volume, high frequency, low frequency. So there's no reason to believe that we could just say that the only reason why the Patriots were who they were because of Bill Belichick's philosophy and mentality. We can say it was because of his great coaching and because of his great defensive schemes and all of that. Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm really speaking more on personality. And again, look no further than this. Robert Kraft wouldn't even just give him one more year to be like, can you not imagine like how iconic and special of a moment it would be for Bill Belichick to break the record, all-time coaching wins, and do it with the Patriots, doing it at home, this big celebration, right? In a lot of ways, it's thank you for delivering all this. But no. And either Bill didn't have the ability to go to Robert Kraft and say, please let me break this record with the Patriots. This is my home. This is where I want to do this. Like, please don't make me do it with like the Atlanta Falcons or something, please. He either lacked that ability or he actually asked Robert Kraft and Kraft was like, no, we're moving on. Which again is very telling. Either way, it's telling about Bill Belichick. To me, that's the biggest thing that stands out. that they couldn't even just say, like, let me please break this record. Just give me one more year. I'll concede power. I'll do whatever. We'll draft whoever you want. Obviously, you know I'm a great coach. Obviously, you know I'm elite. Just let me break this record here so I can do it at home. Don't make me do it in some random jersey for a team that I have no attachment to. And again, he either couldn't ask that of Kraft, which is incredibly telling, or Kraft was like, I don't care, which again is probably even more telling, that it's just like, you are just, we don't get along. I don't like you as a person. I appreciate what you've done, but I don't like you as a person, right? AB, you know, Antonio Brown, like, we won a Super Bowl with you, but like, I don't like you as a person. I appreciate you catching balls for me, but outside of that, I don't even want your number in my phone. And it seems like Bill Belichick, like, is just fundamentally not a good person. And so when you're winning, it's different. You can say, right, the Patriots way, Bill's way, and you're willing to put up with it. But the moment you're no longer winning, it's just, what am I doing with you then? Why am I putting up with all of your negatives if you're not bringing any positives? And also, at the end of the day, you have to enjoy who you work with. Especially when you're hiring someone new. If someone becomes that person where you're like, oh, okay, whatever, but they're winning and now they're getting grumpier, or just you don't enjoy their time, it's a lot harder to move on from that. But when you're in the hiring process, you want to make sure you enjoy who you're working with, because these guys spend a lot of time together. And so the GM, the owner, whatever, like, you want to enjoy. I mean, think about it. I mean, this has been kind of overplayed at this point, but they talk about how Tom Brady and Bill Belichick never got dinner together. I mean, that is pretty mind-blowing. And they say, you know, you don't have to be best friends with everyone in your team. I get that. But these guys have been together for decades and were winning all this together, and yet they never had dinner together? Tom Brady never had Bill over his house with Giselle and his children? They never had dinner? They never, not once, because all the other people were coming and going. But the two that remained the same outside of Kraft and stuff was Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And they never once grabbed dinner, went for a walk, ever had a moment where they were like, look what we did. We did this. Look what we did. They never had that. It's pretty mind-blowing. Pretty mind-blowing. And, you know, that's where a lot of people compare someone like a Bill Belichick to like a Phil Jackson or whatever, but that's where someone like a Phil Jackson is really in a league of his own, because he was able to win with Michael Jordan, and then he then went to LA and then was able to win with Kobe and Shaq, right? He did it with a completely different organization and with a completely different set of different personalities, and was able to obviously successfully do that. Bill Belichick, no one even wants to give him another chance as of right now. And I think a team probably will eventually, maybe, but like these desperate franchises like the Falcons, the Panthers, like, they're not doing it. They're not giving him the keys to the kingdom. That is very damning. But what do you all think? Why do you think Bill's not getting a job? Do you think everything I said was absurd and ridiculous, that he's a great coach and who the heck cares? I would love to hear your thoughts. This is such a fascinating story that for literally essentially my entire life, Bill Belichick was known as the greatest coach ever. And it was one of those things that was seen as impossible to ever dethrone. And now he can't even get a job. I would love to hear why you guys think this is happening. Let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. And please give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.